Okay, the agenda at this technical track will be divided into 3 sections: before lunch, after lunch, and the late afternoon. We will have a paneling discussion, will be more interesting, so please stay tuned. Each presentation will take about 25 minutes and 5 minutes for Q&A. So if you have any question, just click on the tab Q&A on your Google platform and you can write down your question right away. Okay, just get into the point. So now let me introduce the first speaker, someone we know as part of the Magento data solution team. He is helping develop Magento AI and machine learning capabilities such as intelligent product recommendations. And then during his Magento tenure, he led teams to create the first GraphQL layer, declarative schema, asynchronous or bulk APIs, as well as improved web APIs, payment integration, and deployment experience. Here is the profile. As a product manager from Adobe with the topic, Adobe Sensei enables Magento intelligent commerce. Please welcome Mr. Misha Kotov. I'll let you take the stage from here, Mr. Misha.
Excellent, thank you. Hey everybody, my name is Misha Kotov. I'm a product manager at Magento Commerce. I will start my presentation. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I've been with Magento about 4 years now, working on various things. Now I'm part of the data solutions team that works on data-fueled capabilities for Magento and some of the integrations between Magento and Adobe Sensei. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me by email. I'll show my information later. Feel free to reach out with any questions after this presentation. So today I'm excited to talk to you about Adobe Sensei and how it enables Magento Intelligent Commerce. First, the agenda of what we're going to talk about. I'm going to introduce Adobe Sensei. I'm going to talk a little bit about what it is and what it does. Then we're going to dive into product recommendations as a first example of an integration with Adobe Sensei. We're going to look at the overview, how they work, what the availability is, how to implement it, because this is a technical track. We're going to get into some technical detail of implementation. And then I'll show you the roadmap for this particular feature, as well as the kind of broader data solutions and intelligent capabilities for Magento. Let's get to it. First thing I want to talk about is what is Adobe Sensei. There are a lot of misconceptions floating around in there. People call various things Adobe Sensei. But what it is in reality is a technology that powers intelligent features across all Adobe products. And they do different things. They introduce efficiencies and automation into product capabilities and features using AI and ML. But what I want you to take away from this is that Adobe Sensei is not any one thing. It's normally you can think of it as a collection of intelligent services that power various features and capabilities across the Adobe suite. So here you can see a bunch of different examples of Adobe Sensei implementations and services. It affects normally content and imagery, as well as products and language and lots of different mediums that are used in digital media today. And so we're hoping to put Magento on the map with an implementation of an Adobe Sensei service. And here's some examples of things that we think about when we think about integrations with Adobe Sensei. These are just roadmap candidates. These are not committed things, or this is not a plan for implementation. This is just to show that these are the types of things that we've thought about enabling via Adobe Sensei. And the first thing on the list you see there is product recommendations. That is more of a reality than some of these other things. But we will talk about enabling some of these other capabilities that are on this list. Again, this is not committed or planned, and always open to tweaking this. I know there's many more smart people than me out there, so if anybody has ideas or thoughts about how to apply intelligent processes or AI or ML to Magento, I'm all ears. Please reach out and let's talk. Wanted to talk first about product recommendations powered by Adobe Sensei. Again, this is the first example of a feature that has actually been complete and released. So first, what are product recommendations in the wild? So product recommendations is a general marketing and merchandising tool that merchants use to provide relevant and personalized experiences to the shoppers, right? In the previous session, we heard quite a bit about the importance of personalization and relevance to shopping experiences, and this is one of them, right? Here's a bunch of examples. Say if I was browsing various websites looking for a hiking backpack, these are types of recommendations that were presented to me, right? They have different flavors, different names, different kind of retrieval mechanisms, but this is what we refer to as product recommendations. We say that a unit of recommendations is kind of the container or the full widget that contains multiple recommended items in there, and each one we call a recommended item. In our interviews with merchants and the ecosystem, we found that we don't really need to convince merchants that this is a powerful tool. It is well understood, especially considering that 35% of Amazon's total revenue comes from providing recommendations across their multiple channels and at every step of the experience. So the feature that we released, here's kind of the data sheet on that. There are 10 recommendation types. There'll be more in the future. They're kind of broken down into shopper-based, item-based, popularity-based, and context similarity-based. We have something that provides backup recommendations if there's not enough data gathered to compute fully requested recommendations. We have reporting as well. There's dedicated metrics and measurement of performance of recommendations that allows the store admin to see performance of each recommendation unit in terms of impressions, views, clicks, and even generated revenue, revenue generated by these recommendations. Management is really simple, and there's a dedicated admin-based merchant experience. It's a graphical user interface. It's built using the latest modern Adobe styles. And then there's some management controls over what products should or should not appear in recommendations via these global exclusion rules. So a few more things about kind of launching this feature. It went live back in April of 2020, and so a handful of months ago. It's exclusively available to Magento Commerce merchants, so that means that it's not available to open source. However, if you see the footnote at the bottom, you see that it's also available to official solution partners of Magento. And so everybody, whether you have a Magento license or you're a licensed solution integrator, you are entitled to use this feature. It's supported for both Magento Cloud and on-premise installations of Magento, and it works on all versions of 2.3x and 2.4 of Magento Commerce. You are able to download it via Composer or Marketplace. We'll go into some of those details in a bit. And it's available at no additional cost. So this should be kind of a no-brainer for merchants that are on Magento Commerce on those versions. It should be pretty straightforward implementation. And I wanted to talk to you guys about cite some of the numbers that we've seen so far from those merchants that have adopted recommendations. So it has been around 4.5 months since launch. We have over 40 global sites live with recommendations on production. We have quite a few more sites than that are at the stage of enabling data collection. We'll talk about data collection in a bit. So they're kind of on the way to adopting recommendations. We have a pretty rich pipeline of merchants that are on their way to deploying recommendations. But as far as proof points from these various merchants that deploy this feature, we've seen a 25% increase in average order value, which is a very significant number, obviously. Another merchant saw a 15% increase on click-through rates on their product detail pages. And one merchant saw a 15x increase in recommendations-driven revenue over their previous recommendation solution. So that's not 15%, that's 15 times, right? That's quite a big number as well. And then we've seen some merchants generate close to 60,000, and that's US dollars. It's a US retailer, $60,000 per month in recommendations-driven revenue alone. So this just goes to show that the product that we released is a high-quality product, and it works really well. It can stand on its own with some of the best world-class solutions out there. This is a quick demo of how it works. So on the right-hand side, you see just the Magento storefront, the Luma storefront. On the left-hand side, you see the creation form of how a user would create a product recommendation. So you give it an internal name, you pick where you want to deploy to, what kind of an algorithm to use, how many products you want to show up. And then optionally, you can provide some categories of products that you don't want showing up. And then once you've created that, you see it deployed to the storefront. So let's dive into a little bit of how everything works, right? And this is where we get to the technical part a little bit. On the left-hand side, you see your Magento installation. On the right-hand side, you see something called SaaS services. Now, this is a change of kind of a mindset for Magento merchants, right? Normally, your Magento server powers everything that Magento has to provide. So Magento in general is moving towards these cloud services where we break out some of this functionality to the cloud, and then a lot of the compute and processing happens in the cloud as to not tax your Magento server with with these heavy kind of burdening processes. So again, back to the left-hand side, Magento instance, you have your general Magento Commerce installation. On top of that, you will install some modules that power these recommendations. And what these modules are going to do is send data to Adobe Sensei. There's two required types of data that Adobe Sensei needs to compute these recommendations. One is product data, and two is shopper behavior. Product data is needed so that recommendations can accurately reflect things like up-to-date product naming, pricing, availability, etc. So it needs to be aware of all the changes happening in Magento. And it will keep its own record of that product data so that it can serve recommendations quickly to the storefront. The second type of data is shopper behavior, and these are interactions of your shoppers on your production storefront, interactions with products, right, specifically, meaning every product view is tracked, every add to cart, every purchase, etc. So we fire off these events that go to Adobe Sensei, and then using that input data of all these interactions, shopper interactions with products at scale, it computes the relationships between these products, and then is able to put together these relationships such as, customers who viewed this product also viewed X, Y, Z, or customers who purchased this product also tend to purchase X, Y, and Z. So this is where the intelligence comes in and the brains of the operation, right? This Adobe Sensei knows how to put that data together and how to crunch those numbers and how to return the output such that a Magento recommendation service is able to service the requests from storefront. Again, a Magento powered storefront makes a call to the recommendation service to load and render those recommendations. I have a footnote here that there's a lot more info available on devdocs.magento.com. Just in general, the best way to learn about this feature is to read our documentation. We have developer docs as well as a user guide, and that's at docs.magento.com. So let's talk about the implementation flow real quick. It comes down to three categories, as you can see here: install and configure the modules, then you customize what recommendations look like, and then you deploy them. So this feature does not come out of the box with Magento, even though it is a Magento native feature. So you can install it using Composer by issuing a command like this. It's a Magento/product recommendations. Very simple. It installs a meta package. And then you configure the module. You need to generate and specify an API key in your configuration in Magento backend. You generate this key on account.magento.com, and then your catalog sync or the product data sync process begins. Then you specify a SaaS environment. This is, you can think of it as kind of like a SaaS service account. This is where this identifies a place where all your data is kept. So all the data that you send to Adobe Sensei is going to be kept in this place called SaaS environment. And you get three of them if you have a Magento Commerce license. One is production, and you have two testing ones available for integration and testing. Once you've installed and configured the modules, you can customize the look and feel of recommendations on the storefront. So this is necessary because every single storefront is different. It's customized, it's unique. So you want to match the style of this recommendations widget to match your site's style, right? And you do that by opening this layout template with recommendations, and you can tweak it just like you would any other template in Magento. And then you can optionally choose a custom placement by moving layout blocks around on a page. So that one's optional. In the user interface, you can choose several different locations, but if you need a custom one, you can move them around. And once you've done that, that's really it. Then you create recommendations in the UI. A business user can do that. This is the demo that I showed a couple minutes ago. You select the page where you want the recommendations to go. If you choose product detail, it will get deployed to all your product detail pages. If you choose category, it will get deployed to all your category pages. You can also deploy to the home page, the cart page, and then the order confirmation page. This is the thank you page that the customer sees after deploying, after placing an order. And then you can see different recommendation types. This is, like I said, there's a few popularity-based ones based on views, purchases, or adds to cart. There's a trending recommendation, which measures kind of swings and momentum of popularity. And then there's behaviorally driven ones, viewed this, viewed that, viewed this, bought that, and bought this, bought that, like the examples that I've given before. And you can also do a more like this recommendation, which finds similar products in your catalog based on the content and product attributes. So it's a content similarity heuristic. So a little bit about this feature and the improvements that we've made since we've launched it, 4 months ago. We've worked on the page builder integration that wasn't available right out of the box. We've worked on visual AI, which is a really exciting feature. It's a new type of AI that we're trying to introduce into this product recommendations functionality. And then we're working on catalog sync dashboard. If you remember this process of syncing your catalog to Adobe Sensei, this will be a new dashboard that reflects the state and the status of that process. And then we're also working on more flexible inclusion and exclusion filters. So this is a quick demo of product recommendations working in Page Builder. So you can now drag and drop a content type that will contain recommendations, and you configure it by simply selecting a recommendation that you previously made. So we'll watch that again, drag and drop a recommendations block anywhere on the page. You edit or configure this block by selecting a recommendation that you previously made using the same UI that I've shown you. So very exciting release. This one is another very exciting capability that we're introducing. This is the most recent Adobe Sensei integration. It finds products that are most visually similar to the current product being viewed. So you can see in the example on the right, if I'm looking at a tank top with a little colorful pocket, the recommendations down below, the first item that comes back, it's a little bit hard to see, but the first blue tank also has a little pocket. So it pays attention to details like that, but it also considers other characteristics, visual characteristics of these items, like shape, color, texture, material, etc. And then that's why the merchant fit for this particular feature kind of depends on its industry vertical. It might make sense for somebody who's selling fashion or apparel or even home goods or furnishings, but it obviously doesn't make sense for somebody who's selling like electronic components or car parts or something like that, because purchase decisions are not made based on visual characteristics. They're based on other specs. So this is a fit for any merchant, Magento Commerce merchant that you know. We're currently in beta, so get in touch if you want to work together or try something out. We'd be happy to work on something together. And again, the composer command down below is listed for installing this beta package. So another look at kind of a long-term roadmap for product recommendations feature. We want to make progress in the PWA and headless support. Currently, recommendations deployment is only supported on a Magento storefront, and that's because of the way that we collect this required data and required interactions of shoppers. The Magento storefront currently knows how to send that data in an appropriate format, but a headless storefront does not, so we need to teach it. So that's where the integration with PWA and headless comes in. We want to also support B2B fully. It works for the most part, but we need to add support for customer-specific pricing as well as customer category permissions or shared catalogs. So currently, there's no support for that in product recommendations, so they're better fit for B2C businesses, but we want to eliminate those restrictions and those limitations. So we want to also introduce support for third-party data sources. This is where you can kind of bring your own data and have recommendations taken into account. And then we also want to support recommendations in email and newsletter templates in Magento. Moving on, let's talk about Adobe Sensei and Intelligent Commerce, kind of more high level, right? We showed a number of candidates that we can deliver on eventually, but we wanted to talk about a few of them kind of more specifically. So the first one is intelligent category merchandising. This is the idea that besides the store owner being able to sort the products on a page by very static dimensions like price or name or date added, you would also be able to rank these products or sort them based on kind of more dynamic and more intelligent factors like top sellers or items that are most frequently viewed or purchased, highest converting rates, even trending or personalized. So the foundation for this data already exists based on what we captured today for recommendations. So really the underlying work for that is really done, and we just need to enable and build on top of that foundation to enable an intelligent feature like this. The next example is catalog search. So obviously personalized search is a hot commodity and highly desired feature out there. The magic really happens when you get results from Elasticsearch and you need to apply some sort of intelligence or personalization or some sort of re-ranking based on various factors, right? So it can be based on some sort of manual rules like boosting or burying products that you've defined, or it can be used based on some AI and ML algorithms using and taking into account the previous and current behavior of the shopper on the site, right? The things that they've looked at, the things that they maybe searched for, the things that they purchased in the past. So you can feed that into the algorithm and then they're re-ranked based on this personal intent that they have shown in the past. There's work on this in progress already. You guys can stay tuned for more news, but there's actually already it's a closed alpha program that is testing some of the concepts that we've put together. So hopefully we reach a more fidelity and more maturity soon. So stay tuned for announcements in this area. Next one is kind of similar to the visual AI that I've already shown, right? There's a capability of showing products similar to what you are already looking at on the site. This is similar, but just providing, letting your shoppers provide the image, right? This can be anything. They can take a picture of a shirt anywhere in the world, and the AI and the retrieval mechanism would be able to find similar looking items in your product catalog. Next best offer is the idea that you can personalize a promotion or a discount for all of your shoppers and pick the most relevant one, most personalized one that is most likely to lead to some sort of a conversion or other goal, right? So say you had a bunch of discounts or promotions in your library, you can look at the behavior of the shopper currently browsing, and you can apply intelligence to your offers and pick out the one that is most likely to engage your shopper. And then we have the idea of product image selection or optimization. As you guys know, normally a product in your catalog will have several different images depicting what the product looks like, what it feels like. So the idea here is that out of those possible images in your image gallery for a product, let's have the default one be picked intelligently so that it's most likely to connect with your shopper. And so if they have a preference for some sort of a view, maybe full body view or detailed view, or other preferences that they've expressed implicitly or explicitly in the past, be able to apply intelligence to these, to your image gallery and pick out, again, images at the top that will most likely speak to or engage your customer. So that's all I wanted to show. Hopefully we have some time left for questions. Here's my contact information. You can get in touch with me by email, or you can find me on Twitter, and I'd be happy to talk to you and take questions right now. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So we already have 3 questions. I paste you the question on the chat soon, if you can see it, Misha. So the first question about related product recommendation, is there any possibility to share it to open source editions?
Yeah, so I see that the answer is currently no. There's no plans to take this feature from Magento Commerce and bring it down to open source. It's something that provides some differentiation for those merchants that pay for a license. However, I do want to say that in open source, you do have the related products and upsells and cross-sells functionality that you can maybe apply some intelligence to, but that would require more of a customization.
Okay, hopefully that answered the question. So there is 2 more The second question is Adobe have a roadmap for Magento open source? Maybe paid or module or extension or subscription, something like that? Misha?
Yeah, there's certainly, Magento open source is certainly going to evolve just like Magento Commerce evolves, right? Both offerings are going to have features introduced. They're both going to have, bug fixes fixed, etc. We're going to support, evolve, and improve the product, regardless of whether it's the Commerce Edition or the Open Source Edition. So certainly we're not going to leave it behind, in the state that it currently is and just abandon it forever. So there's product management functions, there's prioritization exercises, there's improvements constantly in security and performance aspects, infrastructure, etc. So there's definitely plans. I probably don't have enough time now to go over those plans, but there is a roadmap and there are plans for improvement. And I see the next question as well.
Yes, the last question.
Oh, there's a follow-up about paid modules and extensions. We don't eliminate the possibility that some Magento Commerce features that are considered premium will end up being opened to open source, at least, or maybe even as a paid offering. I don't think we have any examples of this yet, but it's not out of the question. And then the last question that I see, just trying to avoid running out of time, is whether admin can create custom rules for recommendations. So it depends on what you mean by custom rules and what you're trying to achieve. So one thing I'll say is that the AI and ML algorithms that power AI recommendations, those are not currently customizable. However, you can control which products don't show up in recommendations. That's number one control that you have. And like I mentioned in my deck, we are looking at more flexible rules that let the merchants control what will be included in recommendations versus excluded. So more flexible inclusion-exclusion rules based on product attributes. So we're very excited to bring that feature to market.
Okay. Seems like that's all the questions. Thank you so much for sharing, Misha. Kotov hopefully can inspire everyone in here and answer all the questions. So if you still have any questions, don't worry, you can ask right away on your Jubilo platform. There is a speaker tab there and you can one-on-one asking, talking, discussion, and anything. Okay. Thank you so much, Misha. I know you're late there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
See you next event.
All right. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.